Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're doing all well. It's the 15th. Oh, here's our guest. Hey, Cristina.
Hello, hi Ilhiana. How's it going?
Good. Enjoying the warm weather. Finally getting here on
Warm
this
weather
side
is
of
finally here
um,
too.
the northeast side of the US, because I know that in other places people are with a lot of heat, so we are good. How are you?
I'm not complaining. I will say though, this is a stressful day, tax day. So I'm sure everybody's running around trying to get all their stuff in. I don't know about y'all, but I have been. uh, Today is just one of those
Yeah,
days.
it's just one of the I feel like the days never stop. There's always something, right? There's
Yeah,
always something.
yeah.
Absolutely. But I'm so excited to have you here as a guest. We just saw each other
Yeah, we
not too
spoke
long ago, so it's
stage
been yeah, it's been yeah, absolutely. And today's topic is all about visibility, right? It's all about how do we show up and why do we show up and why it's important to be able to for people to know who we are because and you and I have talked about this for a very long time. We are great at doing our work, but we are not good at letting other people know about the things that we do. And I just said this in another session last week. We're
yeah.
the world's best kept secret and nobody knows, and then we start questioning like, why don't we get the promotion, why don't we get the offer, why don't we get the opportunity, why do we get the client? Well, because
Mhm.
nobody knows the
Yeah,
amazingness of the things that we do.
yeah.
So I'm very excited to have you here and talk
Me
about
too.
this very relevant topic,
Yes.
especially as we're still sort of in the first half of the year, so we still have a good chunk of time uh,
You
to make
won,
sure
right?
that we plan a good visibility kind of action plan, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
To execute.
And I think this is a
But
perfect prelude also to your Brave Voices conference next week. I think literally, like, I think that conference is such a big platform for visibility. So that's why I think this topic is just, it's really necessary. It's very important, especially for Latina women. Because I do think, you know, our upbringing, at least me. So I know you were born in Mexico. I'm first gen, but my abuela was from Guatemala. My moved here when she was, in her 30s, did not speak English. My mom then moved here when she was about 15 years old. Her English was also not great. We were very much kind of socialized to believe, be humble, be quiet, don't speak up, don't ruffle any feathers, do your work, and just keep your head down and do what you got to do. And don't make anything difficult. Right, like
yeah,
it was very much a socialized cultural, um you know what was ingrained in us growing up is just, calladita te ves más bonita, right? Like we used to say that. I remember my grandma used to say
absolutely.
that to me. And I'm here, first gen, born here, luckily was bilingual. And I never believed that. So it's just been a very different experience, my lived experience here versus, my abuela and my mom's lived experience in another country. So I think it's very cultural as well.
You touch on so many important things because some of these were very conscious, like some of these were conscious and
Yeah.
some of these were not, right? So would love to like hear
Yeah.
why this is important to you. For me, I thought when I was in corporate, I thought that I was visible. I thought that I was making myself
Mhm.
heard and be seen. And now, outside of corporate, and thinking back, I'm like, oh my God, like I was not doing anything. And that's why, certain things happen.
Yeah.
So, what are you seeing? What's your experience? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. I think I think one thing I have learned throughout just my life experience, my lived experience, whether that's through work, personal life, just being out in the world, is that you are your biggest advocate, right? I think a lot of us kind of grow up with this feeling of, oh, someone may come save me, or someone's gonna, speak up for me, or, this is gonna be someone else's responsibility to say something or do something. And I think what I've realized is that no, nobody's really coming to save you. You have to be your biggest advocate. No one is going to advocate for you more than you, and not even just in the workplace, in life, right? So I've had a lot of experiences advocating for myself in different ways, whether that's, I'll give a really example that maybe people don't even know you could do. Let's say you're looking to rent an apartment. You can actually negotiate your rent, right? Like, people don't know you could do you can do that, right? You can negotiate if you get an offer, right? I always tell my clients, I am a coach, and I coach my clients on this, like, never accept your first offer. There's always room for negotiation, and that is part of the process. So whether it's an offer letter or just negotiating for a better tax rate or a better interest rate on a credit card, right? Like, all of these things that we're kind of told are fixed, and like, you cannot change it. You actually can, but you have to speak up, right? So I think for me, it just started with like basic things like that. And then obviously speaking up in classes. When I was an undergrad, I went to Boston College. It was a very, very predominantly white university. I was maybe the only Latina in most of my classes. And so I did have a very different lived experience. And I learned in college, I learned a lot about critical thinking and sharing your thoughts and opinions, and the importance of having your own and forming your own opinions about things. But nobody will know what your opinions are or your thoughts or can learn from you if you don't say something, right? So I was the one in class raising my hand, asking the challenging questions, being, I don't understand that, or why do we do it this way? And it really started in school, with me just learning and realizing that, okay, I don't have to accept everything that's being told to me. I can actually challenge it. I can form my own thoughts about it. I can ask about it. I can learn in my own way. And that's really what kind of created this visibility for me. It started very small, just speaking up in small spaces. And then it turned into, and Ilhiana knows, she was a guest when I used to run an organization in Boston called Women with Purpose. And it was specifically creating a platform for women to share their experiences and their learnings and their expertise with a group of women who were eager to learn. And creating that visibility in that platform showed me the power of communication, the power of speaking up, the power of teaching others, and sharing about yourself, which is something that many women are told not to do. So that's really where it kind of started for me, just starting my own advocacy, speaking up for myself, being put in rooms that I never thought I would be in because of because I spoke up, or because I shared a specific thought and somebody in the room was like, oh, I like how she thinks, or, oh, what she said was really impactful. I want to connect with her after this. Or, you know what, maybe she'd be great to come speak at this event. Or, hey, maybe she would be good, in this organization, to be a part of this organization, if that's what she's thinking, or that's how she thinks. So yeah, that's kind of how it started for me. And then it kind of grew. And now in this political climate, we need women speaking up more than ever. We need women in positions of leadership. I mean, we can't leave it up to the leaders we have right now in a lot of spaces. Like, there needs to be change. And the only way that can happen is if we have more women speaking up, speaking out, and leading. Mic drop. Just kidding.
And I absolutely, and you touch on a lot of very important points. One is, yes, on the one hand, many of us are told, again, directly or indirectly, to not speak up, or to stay silent, or to wait your turn, or to figure out, the polite way, or the politically correct way to say things.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, many of us I've seen, also as a coach,
Yeah.
we just naturally learn it, right? There's not somebody actually told us. That's what we see everybody do in certain situations. Everybody that's similar to us, or that we can relate to, and therefore we learn it without knowing, and we don't know any other way to do it. So when somebody tells you to speak up, it's like, I don't even know what that looks like, because to me, speaking up could be, I need to wait my turn, I need to raise my hand, I need to look, go back, I need to do it on the back end and not directly, I need to ask for permission, all of
That
these
part.
things that we believe that that's the correct, that's the right way to say it. And again, in every environment, in every situation, it's different, right? It's not a one size fits all, and there's a lot of things that we need to keep in mind. But on the one hand, it's, to your point, we need to expand sometimes our circle to other places, to other people, so that we can then see, oh, there could be, or there is another way of doing things.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you touch on that's critically important is who our audience is. Because what I've seen is many women that are, and Latinas, that are very vocal. They do speak up, they stand their ground, they make themselves heard, they go and they push and they negotiate, but in this little circle, right?
Yeah.
But the influence is very small and it's very limited.
Mm-hmm.
So when you really need it is in this bigger circle, in this bigger space, in this bigger environment. So the visibility here in this small circle is 100% or
Yeah.
120, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes. But in this bigger, it's like
Yeah.
the fish in the fishbowl versus the fish in the ocean,
Yeah.
like where we need to understand that visibility means outside of this, not only within this fishbowl that we're all in, but
Yep.
outside of the fishbowl. And for many, that is either scary or not even imaginable. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even think that I needed to speak up in that space,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's easy, not easy. Let me rephrase that. It's much more comfortable to be
Yeah,
visible in spaces where you feel comfortable, right? Where you
yeah,
know the people well, you know their intentions, maybe you've known them for a long time.
yeah,
Maybe you all have kind of very similar views and values. It is very difficult to be visible and expand your visibility in groups where you don't feel comfortable, right? And like that's the part that I
yeah,
think women, especially Latina women, I mean, let's be real, there are not a lot of Latina women in positions of like C-suite executive positions at large
yeah,
Fortune 500 or even Fortune 100 companies, right? I think it's
yeah,
something less than 3% or something like that.
yeah,
So the reality is a lot of Latinas, especially a lot of the Latinas in United Latinas are watching us maybe right now, are constantly in spaces that are uncomfortable. Because the reality is these spaces were not designed for us.
yeah,
And so it's natural to feel, it's normal to feel uncomfortable in spaces that were not designed for you. However, it is also, I think, our responsibility to try to create more comfort in those spaces. And part of that is advocating, part of that is speaking up, even when maybe it goes against the grain. Part of
yeah,
that is, advocating for yourself or maybe someone else on your team that maybe is not in that room, that's not present.
yeah,
Part of that is also advocating for what you deserve, right? What is your
yeah,
worth? And
yeah,
not settling for less. And also part of it is advocating for yourself, seeing what they say. And then if they say something you don't like, or maybe something that you disagree with, or they're not seeing your worth, it's also up to you to choose now. Do you stay in that space or
yeah,
do you find another space? But I think a
absolutely.
lot of that, you can't know any of those things until you speak up, until you say something and try to at least become more visible so that you at least have that data, right? And to be able to make an informed decision. Whereas I feel like a lot of people, and you tell me, Ilhiana, because you're a coach as well, but a lot of clients I work with, they're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to say something. They don't want to ruffle any feathers. But then at the same time, they know this space might not be great for them, but they don't know for sure if they can move up in these spaces because they haven't really tried. And then they also are not willing to look other places. So it's like, where are you spending your energy, right? Like, I think that's really important to decide, and that visibility piece is huge.
I love what you're talking about, and thank you, Sonia, for your question. And hi, Luby. So good to see you here in this space. But not only that, but in addition to what you're saying, what Sonia is mentioning in the chat, right? How can we deal with that dismissal when we want to share our opinions? Because on the one hand, it's not knowing how to share the opinions, but on the other, what if we do, and then we keep getting, shushed, pushed to the side, judged, in a good way or in a not so good way. Like, it depends. Again, the stories that I've heard are vast and wide. And what I would say is, I would say three things, and would love your thoughts, Cristina, on this. Is one thing that I always say is, we don't know what we don't know. So we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that I should have known, I should have done, I should have said. But if we don't know, like, we can't put that pressure on us, right? We don't know what we don't know. And therefore, my answer to this is building that what we've always said, like that board of director, like personal board of directors, right? Like those advisors, those mentors, those
I call it your community of support.
Your community of support. I love it, because that is going to become the echo to your voice. When our voice is not strong enough, then we need other people's voices to support our voice as well. Because sometimes, yes, we're going to get dismissed, we're going to be judged, we're going to, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We need that piece as well. What have you seen? And hi, Maribel, great to see you here.
Hi, Maribel. So Sonia, that's a really great question, because I'm assuming that's probably something you've experienced maybe in your workplace. And I'm sorry to hear that. And as someone also experienced being dismissed, ideas being dismissed, or things that I really truly believe in, just not feeling like that was important enough, right, to talk about. So that's something that is going to happen, because at the end of the day, in a workplace, if you really think about it, what is a workplace, right? A workplace is a bunch of people from different lived experiences, different backgrounds, different socioeconomic statuses, different ethnicities. I mean, like, you have people from all over coming together to hopefully collaborate and work well together and make things happen, right? So with that said, there's going to be also different opinions, different personality types, right? Different leadership styles. Some people are going to be better with people and have more emotional intelligence, and some people unfortunately don't, right? Actually, a lot of people don't. So you're also remembering having to deal with people with different skill levels, right? And so if you're a very emotionally intelligent person, sometimes it can be really challenging to be in these spaces, because there's a lot of people in these, I'll be real, in these corporate spaces that are not super emotionally intelligent. They don't have a lot of empathy. They don't have a lot of understanding of other people's opinions and viewpoints. And so that's something that is going to come up, like Ilhiana said. And I do think it's really important to have a community of support, at least one person at your company or wherever you work, that you can really trust. I always say having at least one person at work that you trust and rely on, it can really be so helpful to your mental and emotional health. And also having spaces outside of work, like United Latinas, right? Or any other organizations or community organizations that you're part of, is so important, because it's important to have that supportive space where you can share your thoughts and opinions, and in a safe way. But I will say this, if you continue to share your thoughts or viewpoints or ideas that you think are important, and they keep getting dismissed, right? If that's something that continues to happen and it affects you, and maybe you've tried all the different ways to get it across and it's still not coming across, then Sonia, I'll say you have a choice there. Now you have a choice, right? Now you can decide, Do I stay and keep pushing for this, even though it seems like no one is on board or is dismissing me? Or do I look for somewhere else that will support this idea or this thought process that I have? And so, like I said, you always have a choice. It might not be your favorite choices, but that's just the reality of the world, right? We can't control other people. We can only control ourselves and our reaction to other people.
And you bring up a good point, Christina, and I would add on, because the power of choice is something, I mean, we always have that, to your point, we always have that ability to decide what we're going to do with whatever situation that we're in. And I would take it a step further, because visibility and thinking about our visibility plan and how do we act on it, it's not only within this fishbowl, and maybe we have to stay in that fishbowl because that's the one that pays the bills, because there's nothing else that we can do.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like it's a choice to say for now, and I've been there in those situations, right?
Oh,
I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
However, then where else can my voice create an impact?
Yeah.
Right. And it's starting to think about, then maybe I stay here, I keep in my lane, and I just go and do whatever it is that I need to because I need that financial security, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But then there can be these other spaces where your voice can be very valuable, where your impact can have ripple effects, right?
Yeah.
So I love what you talk about choice, because that's also a choice that we can do and expand. So when you were talking about this community of support, that's part of what the community of support can open up. These new opportunities of being in creating ripple effects of impact in other places that you would have never thought of, right?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's really where I found my visibility. I'll share with you all. Like, I was working at a tech company in Boston, very well-known tech company, and I actually helped co-found their first employee resource group. That's kind of where I started finding my voice. That's where it started. And then from there, I realized, okay, I feel like I can make much more of an impact with the community I want to impact, which were women of color in Boston, in the Boston area at the time. And I was like, well, I think I can do that more outside of here. Right. And so that's when I co-founded Women with Purpose, which was a series of professional development workshops, trainings, and networking events for professional women of color in Boston. And because of hosting those events and bringing on amazing women speakers, like Ilhiana was actually one of my speakers, to this, community and to this space, so making other women visible and helping them and supporting them and bringing women together. Each session, we had about 40 women that would attend in person. This is when everything was in person. It was so nice.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID time. Yeah,
pre-COVID. But building those spaces and supporting other women and highlighting them actually made me visible. Right?
Yeah.
Because then people started seeing me as, oh, Christina's that person who empowers women of color, who makes a space for them, who makes sure that, anything she does is to support them professionally, or, personally and professionally. And then people started knowing me as that person and then inviting me to start speaking to things, right? So it was very interesting because I was very behind the scenes in the beginning, and I was like, no, I'm just going to build the space, find these amazing women, connect people together, because that's what I'm passionate about. And then after, doing that for a couple of years, people were like, okay, no, well, what about you? What's your story? We want to get to know you. And that's really what launched my speaking journey, as well as my coaching journey. And like so many other things came from finding my voice, but it took me a while. It wasn't like overnight. One day I felt confident and I was on stage talking like, hey, what's up? It took a while of me studying other people first, seeing how they did it, hearing other women to give me the confidence that my voice mattered, that what I had to say also mattered, right? So that's why community is so beautiful, because you can learn so much from other people and then get inspired by them. At least I was.
Yeah. And you bring up, and we're coming to the end of this cafecito, but we'll continue these conversations. But you bring up also a good point that I would like to close on. And that is visibility is not only, and you just said it perfectly, visibility is not only for ourselves, it's how can we bring visibility to others?
Mhm.
And that visibility will reflect back on you. Because there is a saying, and unfortunately, it's not a just a saying, like there is a little bit of truth behind that, that as women, we don't help each other as much as we should, right? We don't bring each other up as much as we should. On the outside, we might say we do, but on the inside, we just become focused on what we're doing, and that's it. And
Yeah.
part of this visibility game is how can we lift each other up, and in that lifting, we will get lifted, we will get visible as well. Any tips that have worked for you in terms of being able to do that? So, because for each person, feeling comfortable in doing this is different,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But based on what you have seen, what you have experienced, like what can people take and start doing as of today?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I agree. I think so many women, we 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 could be such big advocates for each other, but instead of looking at each other as competition, right? And I've always been that way. I've never looked at another woman and been like, I'm competing against you. I've always looked at other women and been like, there's space for all of us here, right?
All of them.
And if
Yeah.
you move up, I'm happy for you because I know that you're gonna, maybe put in a good word for me or help somebody else move up, right? And so that's really how I look at it. I never look at it as like, oh, there can only be one. There can only be one of me. There can only be one Latina. There can only. So I would say something as simple as, to be honest, like where I really started was posting other people's things on my LinkedIn. So like if I see a woman who's maybe hosting an event and it looks like a really cool event, even if it's not mine, I'll post it because I know that the women who follow me are the women who are connected with me, especially on LinkedIn. So if anyone wants more events, check me out on LinkedIn because I'm always posting really cool events that serve women, especially Latina women and Black women. And so I kind of started getting known for that because I would just post other people's, like somebody would post something, I would repost it and say, hey, check out this awesome event. It looks so great. And so then what that ended up doing was then people would repost my events, right? Like if I had something going on, they would comment or post it or share it with other people. And it kind of just created this ecosystem of give and take, give and take, give and take. And it wasn't just, me sharing, but they were actually sharing back. So it's something so simple that anyone in here who has a LinkedIn,
Yeah.
which I think everyone does, or Facebook or whatever, Instagram, whatever platform, it's something as small as that. And it's free, right? And it's a way to also build relationships and connections because it's a really great way to meet new people too. Like if you don't know someone on LinkedIn and you want to get to know them and you've been following them and they inspire you and you're like, they're really cool, comment on one of their posts, share one of their posts on your page and say why this matters to you. I'm telling you, people notice that. And they will likely love to have a conversation with you after that, right? So it's also a great way to like meet people, a great way to maybe get a mentor, a great way to build your board, right? It's just so
Yeah.
small, giving back. So I say start with something as small as that, and it's not risky in any way for you. It's, if anything, it's that's why social media is called social media, right? It's
Yeah.
social.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I will share, because we were talking about the workplace,
Yeah.
and when I'm training about visibility in the workplace, I always say, talking about ourselves in meetings can sometimes be overwhelming because we think that we might be bragging, or that, whatever. There's so many limiting beliefs. However, that doesn't mean that you can't have a bragging partner,
Mm.
right? So in a meeting, we can, you and I, Cristina, we can agree, in this meeting, I'm going to talk about the amazing things that Cristina is doing. And like, I just wanted to celebrate Cristina. And
Yeah.
then you can do the same for me. And that way we are creating visibility for each other. And it creates a trickle effect because
I
then
love
now
that.
other people are going to do the same thing as well, right? So,
Yeah.
and it's true. Like it is, like I wouldn't celebrate you if I didn't believe that what you're doing is amazing.
Yeah.
So that's another. I love what you were saying about social
Yeah.
media, and then in the workplace, same thing. Like we
Yeah.
need to share about each other's accomplishments more.
And not even just in meetings. Can I just say the last thing? Also, like, I know a lot of people here are hybrid or remote. Like, you could even do that
Yep.
on Slack, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Ilhiana killed it on this project, and her part was like, I don't know, the data part was amazing. I want to shout her
Yeah.
out Slack. Hey, Ilhiana, thanks for like crushing this report. Like, this is super helpful, right? So something
Yeah.
even as small as that you can do
Yeah.
to just showcase, right, and let people know, like, hey, no, this person's what's up.
Yeah.
Like, this person's
Yeah.
killing it.
Yeah, you actually made me remember a while back. I saw somebody that used to do in the emails,
Mhm.
like the status email that everybody is copied on, that everybody needs to open. And I always remember this one person that would reply to everybody in that same email
Yep.
and would just say like three things of thank you for sending the information, and I just want to use this opportunity to give a shout out to so and so and to so and so and to so and
See?
so. And it became sort of like their signature kind of
I love
thing.
that.
And I had never made the connection until right now that you mention it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what he was
Yeah.
doing, right? Like he was
That
just
might even be better
creating
than Slack because everybody sees it.
yeah, like because everybody had to open the status
Yeah.
email, everybody would see it because everybody wanted to keep track, and he just used the opportunity to say, celebrating and shouting out on people, and that's another way
I love
of
that.
doing that.
I
Yeah,
love it.
so many ways.
So many
Awesome.
ways.
Thank you so much, Cristina. Where can they find you?
Gracias, Ileana. I would say the best way to find me is definitely on LinkedIn. So Cristina Costa, you'll find me. I'm usually the first one that pops up. And then, of course, you could also email me, Christina@ccostacoaching.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cristina, as always, for being here in our
Of
in our
course.
different spaces for
Yeah.
United Latinas and for being a valued member. And thank you, everybody, for joining our cafecitos. These are always so exciting and so energizing. I always look forward to them, whether I'm hosting or whether I'm just watching on the sidelines. And stay tuned for next week because we're going to have Brave Voices
Hey.
happening. If you're going to be there, I look forward to seeing you all in person
Yeah.
and hugging and just connecting with each other. We have an amazing lineup of speakers. If you haven't registered and you want to attend, there's still time, there's still slots available. So make sure that you check us out at unitedlatinas.com/brave voices. And if you're not able to attend, hold, because there may be a surprise at least for a couple of the session. Not obviously we can't do the full
Mm,
the full conference, but maybe
nice.
maybe for a couple of the sessions
Nice.
we there might be a little bit of a surprise if you can't join us.
Awesome.
But anyways, looking forward to seeing all of you next week, and if not, still stay tuned for a cafecito on
Yeah.
Wednesday, the day before the conference.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, everyone.
Have a great one, everybody.
Have a good one wherever in the world you are.
Bye.